If you could recommend one finance book to read for a financial novice, what would it be?
One finance book to read for a financial novice? The Bible, bro. Start praying. Start fucking praying. Christ will guide you through the fucking right picks. I think a good entry book could be The Algebra of Wealth by Scott Galloway. That's written for an entry audience and it gives you fundamental principles of like saving and building money. One book that really helped me when I started to get more into all this stuff, because what you realize, I spend most of my day reading financial news now. What I've realized is that most of it is not that complicated, but it's filled with jargon. Things like government bonds, for example, are not complicated, but they're very jargon filled. And so a book that I read was The Devil's Financial Dictionary. It's a good book where it goes through every piece of jargon in finance and gives you like the simple, funny explanation. I read this a long time ago, but I really enjoyed it and it kind of made it more fun for me. I think it's free as a PDF online. I'm not even kidding. This is it. This is exactly the book. The Devil's Financial Dictionary. That's exactly it. By Jason Zweig. I like that book a lot. Can you give us a reading list? Dude, a bunch of people ask me this recently. They ask me this all the time, but recently they asked me this. I thought of a book I would recommend to someone who's like just wanting to get into all of this, but doesn't want to be overwhelmed with jargon and bullshit. And so I might have recommended this before, but there's this book called Talking to My Daughter About the Economy. I don't know if I could say his name. Yanis Varoufakis. He's a former Greece finance minister, which if you know about Greece is not really a reigning endorsement. He's knowledgeable about the world. And the book is him in plain English, very simply, explaining some concepts of global finance and the economy to his daughter. He like wrote her a letter kind of explaining the groundwork. And I thought it was really good. I don't remember too many specifics from it now. I read it a long time ago. I mean, over 10 years ago now. But I remember it kickstarted a lot of my interest. And so if you're looking for something that's like in that vein and you want an approachable way to start, I think this book is a good place. I would recommend it. I want to talk to about two books here. Okay, this one's nonfiction. It's by a German, and it's about just the really fucking tough times Germany's going through economically right now, and how the rot is pretty fucking deep. It's a good book. Very fascinating. I very much enjoyed it. There's a couple more. I read Dot.con, which is a retelling of the Dot.com bubble. It's considered the best book ever written on the Dot.com bubble, the authoritative book. That was awesome. Dude, there's a part in there where it talks about the Travelocity IPO, and it has like direct quotes of everybody on the news being like, yeah, this business got a good business model. Travelocity is a good business. And it's like, at the time, Travelocity was just literally burning money. I mean, it made no sense, the business model. They had no advantage. They just were blowing a ton of money on ads, and their stock went to the fucking moon. It was worth more than like all the airlines combined. It was a crazy time, and it reminds me of now. Reading that book, I got so many similarities to the way people talk about crypto and AI and a bunch of things right now. It just felt so similar. This book was recommended to me by Rachel. She's been on the stream a couple times. It's called Blood Over Brighthaven. It's what I would call like a female Red Rising almost. Books like Red Rising or The Will of the Many or whatever are books about, they're like fun, adventurous, easy to read books about like a hero character that you can kind of like self-insert. This is a little different. So you want me to read this book because it's like a female version. I think it's more written from women. And it's about a woman who's like so dumb smart that she becomes the first woman ever to get invited to study at the Mage Academy. It's all men there. And every man in this book is such an asshole. So the author is ML Wang. I don't know her history or her backstory, but the way her magic system in this book is just programming. It's 100% programming. They sit down at a magic computer and they type in fucking, it's programming. It's literally a book about a woman going to fucking MIT or something and like it is actually what this book is. It's like, they're very blatant. It's not subtle. It's not microaggressions. Everything is macroaggressions. That's how it like starts, but then I don't want to spoil it because maybe somebody will read it and it is pretty new. There's like a massive pivot and twist. The only thing I'll say is, okay, so there's like one theme is how women have a struggle in male-dominated workplaces and schools. Like that's one of the themes. That's what I thought the whole book was going to be about. but then it's like a pivot into a story about how rich countries abuse and take advantage of poor countries. That's like a theme. And the magic society in this book exists in a safe, perfected bubble. And there's a bunch of like other people outside the bubble who are like dying and poor. And they use labor from that for their factories and everything. And it's like, there's this whole story about that. Again, I like this book. It was fun. It's like a more realistic Hogwarts, sure, okay? She gets to school, and one of the ways they make fun of her for becoming the first female high mage is like, hey, we're gonna give you a fucking Quinn assistant. Quinn are the people, the other people, the indigenous people outside the land. We're gonna give you a Quinn assistant. Everyone else gets a good assistant, and you get a Quinn assistant. But what's funny is the main character of the book, the hero, the girl who's like super smart, she's super racist. She's super racist. I mean, she buys into it all. She's like, oh, this fucking sucks. I have to get a goddamn Quinn assistant. This is so embarrassing. And then it gets kind of weird because if it was gender flipped, this would be fucking awful. She is now his boss, and it turns out he's kind of hot. It's not smut, but it's charged. She was talking about his broad shoulders and it's like, it is odd if you think about it. In the context of the book, it's not so bad. It's relatively tasteful. And by the way, I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I have to repeat this every time. I only criticize things like this that I like. If I don't like it, then I get bored and I had to move on. That's how I interact with media that I like. I like to pick it apart and I like to make fun of it. The internet doesn't work like that. The internet's like, if you like it, you better fucking talk about how great it is all the time. But I'm the opposite. So anyway, I liked it. I thought it was interesting and I thought it was fun. It was different. And it made me, think about some things from a different perspective. I was wondering, like, there were times where I just didn't like the main character, and I'm like, is it because I'm sexist, or is it because of the way she's acting? And I don't know. It made me question, It was cool. I thought it was interesting. Those were two I just read. Someone's asking about books, and I want to talk about a book called, you can probably get this for free, low-key, but you should buy it. If you're broke-ski, you can probably find a PDF online. No cap. It's not long. And it's called How to Get Filthy Rich in Rising Asia. This might be one of the only times a book has made me cry. And based on the title, you think it would never do that. It's actually such a beautiful book, and it's written so simply and straightforwardly. I don't want to spoil too much. It has like actual like practical entrepreneurship and business advice, I guess, in a way, but it's told through a truly hauntingly beautiful story on life and love. And I seriously think if you wanted to give a book a chance and you don't want to read nonfiction, you could not go wrong with this. I swear to God, by the end of it, you will feel something. You'll feel something. You know what I did? When I woke up this morning, some nerdy ass shit. I just sat there and I flipped through Battles That Changed History. It's an old book. It's like, it's got full art of like, it's like reading a Historia Civilis YouTube video. It just has pictures and explanations of like these like this one was fucking sick. Battle of Agincourt. It's so cool. But anyway, it's fucking cool. If you're interested in a really cool tale of shipwreck, mutiny, and murder, of betrayal, I would suggest The Wager. I think The Wager is a fantastic true story about a British ship that has a mutiny on it. So I would recommend that. Hey, I read Barbarians of the Gate. Thanks for your recommendation. It was pretty good. I appreciate that. I have a new book recommendation. I have a brand new book recommendation that I just started last night. Drum roll, please. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Boom. It's called The Storm Before the Storm, the beginning of the end of the Roman Republic. He's a very well-renowned Roman historian, and it's told in kind of an interesting and fun way. And it's about the end of Rome, with interesting parallels to modern day. I'm enjoying it thus far. I'm only very beginning. So, As Gods Among Men or something. So, if you guys don't know, I briefly had a Big A book club where I recommended a book, and the book was so dry that I killed the book club instantly. And it was called As Gods Among Men. But the book was actually very interesting. As Gods Among Men are about a brief history of the rich in the West. And it's basically the top 0.001%. It looks at them from like medieval times till now. Maybe not medieval times, a little past medieval times. The dry part was that he's like very, very, very academic writer. He writes with like long tangents on citations and how he ascertained this data from ancient texts. And it's like, I trust you, or put this in the appendix. I don't need fucking 6 paragraphs on where this came from. Just tell me. And then, anyway, I think the core idea of it is that he doesn't say, and I don't say, that it's a good thing to have a super rich 0.1% class, okay? But it did exist, and it does exist. So let's analyze it. Now, in history, there was like a social, especially in like 15, 16, 1700s, there was almost a social contract where the very wealthy would be tentatively allowed by the mob to have that level of wealth, but only because in times of crisis or in times of peace, they would spend huge gobs of that money to either rapidly beautify and improve their living area, like the city they live in, or for like defense and things like that, whenever like things were threatened. The idea that if you have that level of wealth or power or connection, you have to use it for the good of society in some way. Basically, in any measurable way, the amount that people have actually sort of quote unquote given back has plummeted. And the rich today are not only more rich, but more uniquely selfish. And it's because they no longer see themselves, this is the theory positive, but I think it's pretty strong. They no longer see themselves as part of their city, their town, their country. They see themselves as basically global citizens. They are like part of a global super rich class. The people that are closest to them are fellow billionaires in a different country. You know, it's so interesting you bring that up because I have just started a brand new book that I might be reading for a book club for the Lemonade Stand. We haven't decided yet. It is called The Great Leveler. And the Great Leveler in this case is like war, famine, plague. And it's about the history of inequality, all the different things that caused it to go down. It's not, I wouldn't say it's uplifting. Well, I'm only in the beginning. We'll see. Maybe there's some like the quote on the back. This is the best book on the history of income inequality. And the central message is that the most significant reductions in inequality come through violence or destruction. Have a nice day. But I'm sure it has a happy ending. Let's not judge a book by its literal cover, right? That's what you guys are doing. I want to recommend this book. I think it's called When Money Dies. Am I correct? It is. Yeah, it's called When Money Dies. And it's about Weimar Germany inflation and what it was like to live through that. And it has really like vivid examples from actual people of just how corrupting and devastating that is for people's trust in anything. If you get to the point of hyperinflation, it's kind of over. It's just over. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you get paid one day and then the next day it doesn't buy the same amount. Like if your paycheck one day can buy a loaf of bread and then you go to the store next day and it can't afford it. You know what I'm saying? That's the end of the cycle, but it's important. It's like so the tricks you have of printing money no longer work once you're in an inflationary environment. It's over. This book arrived today. I just started it. I'm very early on. I read 1 page an hour, so it's pretty slow. It's called Devil Take the Hindmost, and it's a history of financial speculation. Basically, my dream book, it's just bubbles. Financial bubbles throughout history and funny things that happened during them. It's not written super approachably, though, unfortunately. I do not want to recommend it because you may find it boring, but I found it to be very interesting thus far. I'm very early on. Anyway, that's what I did. I sat on a fucking couch and I read that book. So I'm reading this book, The Power of Nuclear. It just arrived. And I'm reading the beginning, and it's about a lifetime environmental activist, James Hansen. This is a guy he's chained himself to oil pipes to block things. He's been his whole life environmental activist. And he says over the course of his life, he's spoken at conferences, climate change events, to government leaders, to everybody. And he's realized that most of the action on climate change is empty words. It's mostly empty words. And the only thing that he's seen actually work in any country significantly, like make quick, significant changes in reducing carbon emissions is nuclear. Not the only thing, but it's like the main thing. And so over his lifetime, he's actually become a massive pro-nuclear advocate because it's the only thing where it like solves the energy growth need problem and it reduces emissions at the same time so that the pro-growth people and the pro-environment people can also both win. He learned that. He said when he figured that out, he started saying it in all his speeches and started getting pushback. And his example of pushback is the one time he went to Germany for a UN conference, because he said he was speaking at other places and it was getting he was getting positive feedback. And then he went to Germany and he mentioned, all this pro-environment stuff, but also mentioned that nuclear is an important part of the mix and that we needed to increase our use of nuclear. And he had people in the front row heckling him, shaking their head, grabbing the mic to ask questions. What about the cost? What about? And then, so he said, by the way, he had answers for all these questions. And he goes, these fears they keep bringing up, which he had answers for, about radiation and waste and accidents. It's like insane amounts of overhype. He said specifically, they have no basis in science. The aversion is quasi-religious and super irrational. So, it's just funny that I have encountered a similar thing to James Hansen. Obviously, it's a pro-nuclear book, but I'm just saying that it was an interesting example because I didn't plan this. I was literally just reading it and it made me laugh. The book is called The Power of Nuclear.